Hello everybody. I thought I would bring you along to show you how I make my mask, basically from start to finish. I did a video earlier, or another day, about the nose wires that I've been bending, and I said to put a dab of hot glue on the ends. Don't do that. I found out the hard way that they really gob up your iron. I'm turning my iron on right now. Anyway, oh man, what a mess did I have. So I started making them just like this, and then I smash the ends. What I do is I measure out 16 inches of this wire, and it's 26 gauge, I believe. And then I fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. And then I hold the end with the end pieces. And it has 2 end pieces and 1 fold. I hold that with a pair of wire cutter things, and then I just put my finger in and twist it, and then I scoot over and I twist. Anyway, I end up with something like that. So these are the materials I need. I need a nose wire, which some people are using bread ties, plant ties, lots of things. And for the elastic, I've been using these headbands that I bought for Operation Christmas Child at Dollar Tree. And for right now, I'm going to be using them for this. So I need one headband. I also make them with ties, but today we're going to talk about this one. And this has the nose piece up at the top, and then the elastic here. And then it spreads apart, and on the inside there is a pocket, and this is the easiest way that I've found to make them. Anyway, I also make them with the ties, but that'll be a different video. So what we need is 2 different fabrics that are not the same. I've been using a white and then a color, a print, I guess that would be. Anyway, so cut out your 2 inside pieces that are 7 by 9, and 1 outside piece that is 7 by 9. And so once you have that done, you go over to this ironing board, and I'm going to be moving you back and forth, so I know it's not professional, but that's the way it is. So the first thing I do is I iron my outside piece, and obviously I have mine already ironed, and then I iron the inside piece, and then I fold it in half and iron it in again with the crease. And then I take my little measure thing and my transfer pencil, and I measure 3 inches from this edge and make a mark, and then 3 inches from this edge and make a mark. Can you see those 2 marks there? Okay. So now I'm going to come to the sewing machine. And I'm going to sew. I'm going to open this up, and my marks are on the inside. I'm going to sew along the crease. I'm going to back stitch at the beginning, sew, back stitch here, lift my presser foot, and bring my sewing machine back down to here, to the next mark. Start stitching and back stitch, go here and back stitch, so you can follow along. And I don't rush, and I'm sure I make it a lot longer than some people do, but that's just the way I like to do it. I like to do slow and steady. I go back and forth a couple of times, then lift your needle up, lift your presser foot, and slide till you get to that other mark, then put it down, back and forth. I probably do overkill. And I've I've got black thread on the bobbin because I wanted to get it off my bobbin and I didn't want to waste it. So I trim those two threads, the beginning and the end, and then I come in here and I cut this skipped part, front and back. Like that, and that's where I've stitched. You can see it on the black. I guess that kind of works better for demonstration. Now I'm going to take them and open them up like this. And see there, you got the little hole. So now we're going to go press that. And I just scoot back and forth into my little sewing area. I have one of these little, what do they call them? Tea trays, coffee trays, something like that, that I use for my ironing board. Excuse me. So then I press this open. All right. Now I'm going to take my elastic tie and I'm going to find where they glued it together and I'm going to cut it right there. And then I'm just going to cut it in half. All right. So this piece of fabric here, the pretty one, we're going to put it pretty side up. And then I'm going to lay one piece of my elastic there. And I'm going to have it sticking out just slightly. And then on this one, it doesn't matter which side because they're both exactly the same. And I just lay this on top. Now I'm going to go back to my sewing machine. And I'm going to sew along. And I'm going to catch that. And this is on the short side. The long side's here and the short side's here. So when I go over that piece, I go back and forth. Then I get down to, go ahead and sew down to the other side. And I'm about the same distance apart. Then I come inside here and I find that piece, that elastic, and I make sure it's flat. And then I come around here and stick it out over here. Let me get you a little closer so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's see. Can you see that? All right. So now I'm going to continue sewing. And I kind of hold that. Go back and forth. Get to my corner and I'm going to turn, and now I'm going to sew down the flat side, or the long side I should say. Get to my corner, turn. Now I'm going to insert my other piece of elastic. So I'm just going to put that in there. Sew over it a couple of times. Try to keep this flat. Now I still have one side I can reach into. So I reach into there and grab my elastic and bring it around so that I can sew over it here. Alright, now I've got my two pieces of elastic in, and I just got to close up my last side. Now this next part, may be overkill on my part, but I like to do it. I like to serge all the way around, so I have a nice finished edge. I hope that it makes it last longer. I try not to insert into my sewn. I like to be on the other side of my sewn thing. I don't want it to take the place of my sewing. And I just trim my little piece, my little threads there. I keep a pair of scissors by every machine. So now I'm going to go back to this machine. And now I've got to insert my nose piece. So what I'm going to do, I still have it inside out. What I'm going to do is fold it in half, the long sides. And then I'm going to use my pencil and I'm going to mark where my fold is. That tells me where the middle is. Doesn't have to be very dark. All right, and then I'm going to change my machine to zigzag and get my piece of wire. And the straighter it is, the better. And then I just put it about in the middle of this. That mark, half on one side and half on the other. And then I just put my machine on the end, and then on the very ends of the wire I backstitch a couple times, and then I just sew that wire in. And if you keep that wire in the middle of your presser foot, you should go back and forth right over the top and not a problem. This, I just take it slow. I figure it's better to have good than a bunch of them. And maybe I'm wrong, but this is just, I feel more comfortable doing it this way. So I've sewn that on. Okay, now I'm going to go back to it, and I'm going to turn this right side out. And at first I thought, oh my goodness, that wire is going to be a problem turning this inside out, but it's not. In that hole in the back is where you turn it. So I just turn it inside or right side out. Kind of pull on my corners, and then I have my handy dandy knitting needle, and I use that to poke my corners out. Alright, now I'm going to iron it. I feel like if I turn it this way and put my iron on it this way, I just feel like I'm not getting too much steam on that on the elastics. So now this is what we have. Got our hole there, and there's the pretty side. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the machine, and I'm going to sew around the wire. Right, so what I do is I just feel where the wire is, make sure I turn my machine back to straight stitch. And yes, I turn my machine back and forth all the time. Now I'm putting this just past my wire. I take a few stitches, go back to the edge, take a couple more stitches. I'm going to turn and I'm going to go this way. just feel where the edge of my wired nose piece is, and I'm going to sew just beyond that because I don't want to sew into it. So then I'm going to turn, and I have just made an extra pocket. I feel like that's just extra security for the nose piece. I sewed it in real good, and then I sewed this pocket on. Can you see that? I don't know if you want to call that a pocket or what. Okay, now almost done. I'm just going to do the pleats. Now, the nose piece is, I'm going to lay that so that it's farther away from me. And so now I'm just going to make 2 pleats. I at first tried 3 pleats, but it was just too fiddly for me. And two pleats are just fine. So I come down just, I don't know, an inch or so from the top, and I fold down a pleat. And I try to get them even. I don't fiddle too much. And then I press that. Then I come down to the bottom. You can't see. And I make another pleat. So I've got my 2 pleats. And when it's about the length of my finger, then I know that's just about right. So now I'm going to press that. All right, and it gets hot, 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 hot. All right, back to the sewing machine. And I use an office chair so I can just go back and forth, back and forth. Now I'm going to sew my pleats down, and then I will be done. So always when you start, make sure you back stitch. I had to oil my machine earlier today because it sounded like, I don't know, some kind of weird engine or something. Anyway, when I go over my pleats, I back stitch just for extra strength. I always trim nicely. That's one side done. I always hold on to my thread, take a couple stitches back. You don't have to go a million miles back. I know a lot of people when they first start sewing and you tell them to take a couple of stitches, they like, and they're like 8 stitches down. Then you tell them to take a couple of back stitches, and the next thing you know, they're back to the beginning. Anyway, always make sure that your needle is all the way up and this take-up lever is up. And then your thread will pull out very easily. Ooh, talk about perfect timing. I just ran out of black thread, so while we're here, I'll just go ahead and change my bobbin. I always dust my machine when I'm changing bobbins because I figure I've done a bobbin's worth of work. So I always get in here and I dust in there. So now I got rid of that black thread. And I'm going to put my new bobbin on. Always look at your instructions to make sure that you're putting your thread in your bobbin correctly. Because if you don't, it is not going to sew right and you're not going to know why. Now when you're replacing your bobbin, you make sure that you hear it snap. Because when you go to take up that thread, if the bobbin spins around, then you didn't do it right. Well, that's good. I just unthreaded my needle. But that's okay because now I'll show you how a shaky person rethreads their needle. Because I have a problem with shaking, you know, so I can't hold my thread very still. So I put it between 2 fingers because that helps me keep it still, and then I'm able to thread my needle, usually. Ah. There we go. Okay, so I got my needle threaded, and I'll lift. Whenever you're threading your machine, always make sure that your presser foot is up, and then I put it down so that I can have more room to thread my needle. But then I'll raise it back up, and I'm going to hold this top thread, and I'm going to turn my, uh-oh, I did it wrong. My thing isn't snapped in there because it moved. All right. That is not a good deal. All right, let's try this again. I always think it's good when I make mistakes and I'm trying to show somebody so they can see that it happens to everybody. It's not because they're a beginner or anything like that. So there, my machine is threaded. I'll put it back together. And now, did I show you the mask that we've just finished? Where did I put it? Oh, right here in front of my face. This is the mask we just made. So next time I will show you how to make mask with the ties. But you know what? There's so much conflicting information, and people are like, that's not going to help you. That's not going to keep you from getting the virus. No, it probably isn't. But if nothing else, it'll remind you not to touch your face. And I like that this has an opening for a filter. You can either put one of the disposable masks inside, or you can just put the other mask on first and then put this on. Or you can even take coffee filters. And it's got to be better than nothing, right? Anyway, you do the best you can with what you have. Thank you for watching. You have a great day. Bye.